From AIT Studios in Abuja, Nigeria, this is the O&M Sunday Show with Obiora Ilo and Mamode Akuga.
Hello out there and welcome. It's the O. And my name is Mamode Akuga, and of course, as usual, I'm excited, delighted, happy to be here once again to bring you another edition of the O&M Show. And as usual, my tag team partner, Obiora Ilo, is in the studios for this. Obiora, can we call this the Democracy Day edition of the program?
Well, all week we've been celebrating democracy in Nigeria. You know, time of appraisal, reappraisal, a time to compare notes,
Yes.
look at history, know how well we have done, what are the challenges, how can we make it better.
Yeah.
So it's the season, and today is a very special program for us
Yeah.
because we have someone who's been around for quite a while, has so much to say about Nigeria.
So much.
He's been in the engine room. He was not just, you know, some people say they've been in the corridors of power. He's been in the bedroom, he's been in the sitting room.
And maybe also the corridor too.
So he has seen so much. He has been around for a while. Our guest today is, you know, a different kind of politician. You know, he's not that very loud, but very effective though.
Yeah, but you know, I think all that comes from his background. You know, coming from the civil service, you know, as former permanent secretary. Well, maybe, you know, you could probably refer to him. You know, in the old days from the Gowon era, they had the super PAM sec.
The super PAM sec.
I think probably you could refer to him as, you know, former super PAM sec. And in politics, of course, he wanted to be governor of Bendel State. You know, later became governor
Of Edo State, yes.
Yes, you know, a true Bendelite.
Yes.
A true Bendelite from Delta and Edo State. For all Nigerians today, they know him as the national chairman of Nigeria's ruling party, the APC.
So in our studio, I think you already know, we have we have the one and only
Chief
John
Odige
OYEGUN. He'll be joining us in a moment. So much to talk about with Chief OYEGUN, of course.
Because we could go down memory lane. We could talk about today.
Yes.
And
everything.
And I mean.
And it's not someone you have on set every day.
Yeah.
You know, as the old African proverb, when you have the opportunity of climbing the Iroko tree,
yes,
get all you want to get. It's not every day
yes.
you climb. So we'll take a break. When we return, we'll serve you Chief OYEGUN, whole and entire.
Don't go away.
Are you watching Nigeria's biggest late night show?
We are putting Buhari before you. Will he lead us well?
He's a man of integrity. He's a glory to Nigeria.
What we're talking about is the oppressions in the field.
No, at times the media likes to pontificate.
Let me actually say that gargantuan projects that they are attempting to do are supposed to be left for the states.
Let's make a sacrifice in the interest of the masses of this country by reducing our own pay.
Many people who are arguing about the activities of nations are doing so out of ignorance.
Don't interrupt me. You are a foster.
I hope to win an award. Who knows, maybe next year.
This last election, we lost majority, but we didn't do bad.
Yeah, because we didn't share the money well.
Let us keep praying for our country, Nigeria. People should rally around us to ensure that they give us relevant support, they give us timely information so that we do what we're supposed to be at all times to secure this country.
O&M Late Show and O&M Sunday Show with Obiora Ilo and Mamode Akuga. Tuesdays, 11 p.m. and on Sunday, 2 p.m.
Well, you're still watching the O&M show. And our guest, Chief OYEGUN, is joining us right away. Mr. Chairman, you're welcome.
Great pleasure to be here.
Chairman.
How are you?
So we're glad to have you.
It's my pleasure being here. Like you said, I don't do this often.
Yes, yes. You know, with you, there's so much to talk about. It's difficult to even know where to start. But when you look back in this so many years since 1999, how would you score us with democracy?
The nation.
Yes.
Well, there have been ups and downs, but what is important is that the trend has been consistently forward. No question about that. And we've continued to improve with every year that passes, with every administration that passes. Our electoral process has continued to improve to the point that where we are today, we are pretty sure now that the issue of writing results is a thing of the past. Where we are today, thanks to the card reader, we can tell now that it's the genuine owners of the voters' cards that do vote. Where we are today, we are even able to go to the polling booth, cast your vote, and go quietly back home. So that idea of crowds gathering, that is always a flashpoint, has also started to disappear. And from what is in the works, very soon we'll be on the fringes of electronic voting, whereby as a vote is cast, it is recorded all over. So the issue of somebody wasting time, trying to cut away ballot boxes, or trying to cut away the voting papers and the rest of it will become a thing of the... So we've made considerable progress, no question. The issue of violence is dying down. One or two states maybe have still not learned their lessons. But even that one too has died down dramatically. But
yeah,
with the current regime, the Buhari administration, of course.
I can't believe
it's a due process administration. It's an administration that is determined to ensure that every vote counts.
We'll come to the Buhari administration proper and APC, but something that's a bit worrisome to me, and probably, who knows, to a lot of Nigerians, is that when you were on the other side of the divide, in terms of you were on the opposition, the Nigerian democracy looked like it was really growing rapidly, because here was a ruling party with an extremely vibrant opposition, you know, checkmating it every now and then. But as we are today in our evolving democracy, we seem to be losing, you know, the efficiency and the effectiveness of a vibrant opposition, to a point where, apart from the internal crisis within the PDP, we have seen that in droves, they are moving from PDP into the APC. So I don't know if you have been in the opposition and you are in the ruling party. Is this not dangerous for our democracy?
It's not ideal, but let's go back in history. What is happening today was where we were, in terms of the fact that we had a multiplicity of quote-unquote and unquote regional parties, what looked like regional parties. And the leaders of these parties, in their wisdom, and because they were such believers in the Nigerian nation, because they were such believers in choice as a very essential ingredient of democracy, because when there is no choice, really there's no democracy.
No democracy.
And knowing that each and every one of them, the different parties now, were not in a position to be able to wrest power. We're not in a position to single-handedly become, in the public mind, credible alternatives. Decided to make that great sacrifice of coming together. So it's not as if we have a very new situation. It was there. And nationalists, well-meaning Nigerians, people who believed in this country, decided to come together. Chairmen sacrificed their positions. Officers of parties sacrificed their positions. People with presidential ambitions sacrificed their positions to build this great new party called the APC, because everybody perceived that if this nation was to change, if this nation was to be salvaged, you needed a credible, viable opposition party. So that is how we created the situation we were in, where we had two major credible parties, which led to, I mean, in answer to even additionally to your first question, in terms of how has our democracy done, which led to the great big event that for the first time, an opposition party was able to remove from office
the ruling party.
A ruling party. And so today, it looks as if the situation
the tables are turned.
Is reversed. Let me put it this way. What was the PDP? Probably we're just not used to being out of power. They've been there for 16 good years, during which they ruled the place with such fiat that they couldn't think of any other thing except sharing the spoils of office. But D-Day came, the people of this country exercising their democratic rights decided that a change was necessary. So the situation was reversed. What is responsible for where we are today, I don't know. Maybe, in fairness, let me say some of them are acting in very good faith, and I believe most of them are. In fairness, with the kind of revelations that started coming out, with the kind of impunity that started being revealed, with the kind of rape of our national patrimony that came out, and when you consider that most of them really were oblivious that some of these things were going on.
Yeah.
So that's the first justification, that some were genuinely bitter that they have injured the nation this much and genuinely wanted to join us to help repair the damage that they contributed to inflicting on the nation. Some, of course, maybe were just not used to being out of office. They still have political ambitions, still looking into the future, still looking at the most, viable vehicle that they can use to actualize the ambitions. So it's a mix of all sorts, yeah. But I think eventually, however small they are, some are going to coalesce into a group that can make us sit up.
Okay, okay. You know, I just look back at your smile when my colleague asked that question. You know, it was pleasant.
Just to say we were there. I know where you were there.
You know, but I'm looking at the smile from another angle. When I look at some of the accusations of PDP, that the APC is fueling the crisis in PDP, that the APC has a tactics. I remember vividly Governor Yeson Wike in a recent interview where he said that, look, what the practice of PDP APC right now is to come after their people. And when they are put in a tight corner, they say, okay, but if you come over to APC, you'll be fine. And he had he rolled out a number of evidence. People that joined the APC and the EFCC backed off. And then they've also accused the APC of fueling the Amadou Sharif angle to the crisis in. And when you smiled, I thought maybe some of those thoughts crossed your mind.
No. How wrong? How wrong your interpretation is so far from.
But surely, Chairman, you've heard of this allegation.
Yes, we've heard, but we
yeah.
only laugh.
Okay.
We only laugh because it's so far from reality. Who inflicted any wound on the PDP? They inflicted it on themselves. The minute they lacked leadership, they were the ones that got up, trooped to one of the factional chairmen and begged him to lead them.
To take over.
And the man accepted. They organized whatever they organized to legitimize his chairmanship. Then they changed their minds. How was APC complicit in that? The same people who went to bring him and beg him now change their minds. And for me, if I were him, it would look as if they were trying to humiliate me.
You have done what he has done.
No, he accepted, you pleaded with him, he accepted, he didn't come to you. He didn't lobby for it. Then you change your mind, you want to dump him and put somebody. Of course he will fight back. That is only natural.
How about
and
the EFCC?
Hold on, the second point that you made, I want you to name a single case in which people have backed out. I will tell you, quite frankly, what we are trying to do. There's no magic to it. I'm chairman of a political party, and I want the party to expand. I feel very strongly that the Southeast is not seriously represented in the party, and that is probably the reason for a lot of their complaints of marginalization. Even though they marginalize themselves, if you put all your eggs in one basket, and that basket crashes, you can't tell me, you can't blame a third party.
No, but in the southeast, there are APC bigwigs.
No. We are recruiting. There are now a lot.
But even when you got...
Hold on. Don't let's get out of that subject. Because it is very, very important.
Yeah.
So as national chairman, I want this party to be firmly based in every single geopolitical zone of this nation. So we do go out. Yes, we head on.
Are you offering them?
There's nothing wrong about that.
Are you offering them
reprieve
from
APC? My statement was very clear, and it is made at virtually every occasion.
Mr. Chairman, not the one you made outside. I'm talking about the ones they make behind closed doors.
No such. Come, do you think there's any Nigerian that can control that very passionate and dedicated head, the acting head of the EFCC, Magu? You think so? You think I'll go to Magu and say, leave out X, leave out Haba? You know that is not on. You know that is not feasible. And from the way things are going, the apprehension of people is fairly evenly spread. Don't forget, please, always don't forget that we have been in office only 2 years.
That's a long time, Mr. Chairman.
We are dealing with what has happened. The next government will deal with our period in office. That is what we now want to institutionalize in this country. And not when a new governor gets into office or a new president gets into office, let me do my own, let me leave him alone. And so I can do my own and nobody will probe me to. No, we must establish a new ethic in this nation. That whatever you do whilst in office will be subject to scrutiny at one stage or the other. And that is what is going on. And it is what this nation needs. It is part of that change mantra. We must change our thought processes. We must change our perception of what is right and what is wrong. We must change our perception of what is in the public interest and what is in the personal interest, and concentrate when you are in governance for goodness sake. You are there because of the welfare of the people. You are custodian of their common patrimony. And so you must put their interests as your guiding principle. We must establish that ethic. So we are ready. When our time is done, if it is done at any time, for the next people in office, even if they are in the same party, to look at our record.
But, Chairman, let me talk about this, tenure, which is 4 years.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. And you have just said the same thing. The other day I was listening to the president's spokespersons, and they said, look, you can't really judge us. We have just been in office for just 2 years, just 2.
Yeah.
And now, Chairman, you are sitting here now and telling me, don't forget, we have just been in office for just 2 years. Yeah. The tenure is supposed to be 4.
You've done 50%.
Mathematically, you have done 50% of your time.
Correct.
So you have 50%.
But we've done 90% of the work. I will tell you
why. Have done 80%?
I will tell you why.
Chairman,
I will tell you why.
Tell us about it.
We were waiting to go, but you're in a hurry to go into this.
No, I'm not. Finish your thought. No problem at all. No problem at all.
I wanted to ask about the magic that you were going to use to complete the promises to Nigerians in the next 2 years.
Well, first, I think in 2 years, as you will see, we have done a lot. Probably not at the speed and in the direction that even we had expected. Why? Roll back. At the time we took over a battered economy, a distressed economy, an economic foundation that had been totally fractured. That was okay. When we were campaigning, we expected that was the case.
Yeah.
And we took it that our job was to fix it, restore hope to Nigerians, improve their lives. But we did not, since we don't tell the future, we did not see one important ingredient. And that is the collapse of the crude market, which was the source of sustenance, the sole source of sustenance of this nation. In the 16 years before us, the price of crude oscillated between $100 per barrel and $120 per barrel. Days after we took over, it crashed to less than $40. At one point, it almost equated the cost of producing that barrel of oil. Almost equated. What is the implication of that? We lost virtually 70% of our national revenue. Secondly, we lost nearly 90% of our foreign exchange earnings. Take that as the starting point of what we met, which we did not expect. So when people say glibly that as if we were not prepared, we were very prepared. But nobody factored in the collapse of the crude market. In a situation where there wasn't a single dollar of savings, since of course most of these things held in foreign, in dollar bits, of course. We had money there, but it wasn't enough to really back the economy of this nation from which we can draw to fund. So often I tell people, I say, look, God loves this country. It was fortunate that we had a Buhari at that point in our history, faced with a situation which nobody could have predicted. We had a man who had the strength of character, who had the courage, who had the passion for change, who was incorruptible, a man of integrity to take charge. And so we set out plugging the loopholes in the economy. So he set out trying to rebuild the economic base of this nation. He introduced the Treasury single account so that he will be in a position to account for every single kobo of government revenue that flows in. Built up a little bit to be able to carry on, to be able to pay salaries, to even be able to assist states that had collapsed. It didn't start with us. From long in the regime before us, states had virtually been unable to pay salaries. Even the states that were well endowed, the Delta state, the Bayelsa state with only 8 local governments, the Akwa Ibom and those states, even those well endowed states were unable to. So that was the reality let's not go much deeper into it, that Buhari took over. First requirement, stabilize the nation. Stabilize our economic foundation. Deal with the menace of Boko Haram, because they were rampaging at that time. That required resources. That required a routining of the ministry. As you can see from the revelations, even the military was becoming part of the problem in terms of corruption. So he not only solved the Boko Haram issue, contained them, we are not, most of us don't even think of the fact that he saved our military also. So when we talk of 2 years, we must always go back to our foundations, to where we took off from, and think of how far we have come since then, to the extent that today all our economic indices have stabilized. A few of them have started to show significant signs of improvement. We've been able to start spending on infrastructural development. We are doing the Port Harcourt Wari Road. We are doing the Enugu Onitsha Road. We are doing the bridge across the River Niger. For those of us, we all live in Abuja here. You can see that work has started in most of the abandoned projects around Abuja. They are all nearing completion. We have been able now to do a project that was on the drawing boards for a long time, when we had revenue, when we had money, when we had surpluses. But we had a government that for 16 years could not pay the counterpart funding to a loan that was ready, that the Chinese had given this nation. Counterpart funding. And so the project to rebuild our railway system could not take off. President Buhari has paid every single kobo of the counterpart funding of the railway system, as already announced, the very first piece, and the project is already underway. We are doing great things in agriculture. For the first time, even I didn't know Nigerian rice existed. For the first time, Christmas and New Year last year, we ate nothing but Nigerian rice. I was pleasantly, beautifully surprised, and I thank God. Maybe thank God for what made us start being, well, no, please, don't go there, not the recession. But thank God for the compulsion to think that God has blessed this country with a multiplicity of possibilities on which this nation can be built. It is only now, because oil was there, and we're busy dividing oil wells, getting commissions and the rest of it, importing petrol by the droves, giving huge subsidies for fuels not delivered, and the nation was really being raped to death.
Okay, Mr.
So, to conclude that aspect, the nation is now on the upward swing. Our economic indices are now beginning to be very positive. We are on the way out of recession. And by implication, you spoke of 2 years. You were implying that we were halfway. I assure you that as the months roll by, we are going to have more and more things to smile about.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, some of the things you've said, I mean, we are witnesses, so we're not going to challenge that.
Yeah.
But sometimes APC starts sounding like PDP. You know, when you remember when they told us the fastest growing economy in the world and all that, and we had all these indices and figures that did not translate to the well-being of the ordinary person. 2 years after, our power is not working. In a lot of locations and localities in Nigeria, they don't have power. Yes, you said, you've talked about some of the roads that are being tackled once again. A lot of places in Nigeria, people are complaining about worsening roads. Then food on the table. The prices of food items continue to go up. You said the indices are pointing up, but rice that went up, even with all the productions that this government has talked about, rice is still high. Tomatoes are still high. pepper, the normal every day. Of course, the acting president was in Gariki just a few days ago. I'm sure he also discovered that the women and the men, they all talked about hardship. A lot of people are committing suicide. There's so much unemployment.
Yeah.
Is it not bothering you? Because I've asked one of your ministers, I said, we are fighting corruption. Are we going to fight corruption until the rest of Nigerians die? When they are dead, then corruption is fought, and the people we fought for are nowhere to be found.
Are you admitting that corruption was fueling the economy?
No, Mr. Chairman, no.
That's by way of light-hearted.
So does it not bother you as chairman of the party?
Let me say this with all degree of sincerity. We know the sufferings of the people. We hear the cries of the people. We are sad about the hardships that they are going through. I can say from personal knowledge that that is one of the things dearest to the hearts of Mr. President. The agony, the anguish that people are going through. We know this.